Campers! Hi, you guys, and welcome back to Camp Insomnia. I'm your head camp counselor, Zach.
And I am your head camp counselor, Devon. Hi, hello, how are you guys? Welcome back to the
Hi,
spookiness.
hello. Yes, welcome back to the spooky dooky ooky kookiness of this podcast.
Okay, Alyssa Edwards.
Hello, Alyssa Edwards. Welcome back. We are a paranormal and true crime podcast. If this is your first... Oh, God, my phone just went off and scared the shit out of me. Welcome to this podcast. Like, we are very chaotic. Welcome. But we're also your best friends and camp counselors that you'll want to be friends with forever. Because we keep it real and we are fun and hilarious.
Aw,
At least
cute.
I think so.
I think so, too.
Yeah.
Best friend forever. Best friend forever. Ring. That popped in my head.
That's us. Welcome into the campers that are fans of us already. Welcome. Have a really cool case for you guys today.
Yeah, this one I'm pretty excited about. It sounds pretty interesting. Sounds a little different than what we've been doing, so I'm kind of excited to hear this one from you.
Yeah, we haven't done true crime in a while, and so I thought I would do a really cool true crime. It's a case that I really like, and it's very twisted. And I related this to you because I know your mom works in that industry of social work, and so it's gonna be really cool to speak about something that she could possibly relate to.
Yeah.
And because it's true crime, your mom might get a little spooked.
Yeah.
But now she can be on the lookout for it, though. Maybe this is a good thing because your mom can see the signs and then be like, help these people.
Yeah, I mean, because that's the thing too. When we talk about all these like true crime stories, it's for entertainment purposes, but if you think about it too, it's almost educational purposes too, because it makes you very aware of things that really go on in the outside world. Doesn't matter past, present, future, whatever. These things really happen in everyday life.
And also not to trust anyone, really. Like that's the biggest thing. Not to really trust anybody. People may seem nice, and then all of a sudden they'll chop you up and make you into a sloppy Joe. And also to be aware of your surroundings is another big one.
Oh yeah.
So that we haven't done a camp rule in a long time, so that should be on a camp rule. Be aware of your surroundings and trust no one, or else they'll turn you into a sloppy Joe.
I love it. It's so
there
toxic.
We go.
I love it.
There we go. All right, so let's crack into this. So let's gather around the campfire.
Yes, let's get. I can't do that. So so yes, as usual, go ahead, snuggle up, grab your blankies, and tip for camp. Now you kind of gave me a little more context to this. Let's see, tip for camp. Always be street smart, be street wise. Always, like you said, watch your surroundings so you don't turn into Sloppy Joe. But in general, be street smart.
Be street smart, for sure. For sure. I agree. So campers, we are going to be talking about Dorothea Puentes, which if you guys know who Dorothea Puentes is, you're going to be really, really excited. For those of you who don't, and are like Dolores with the biggest question mark on her face, get ready to be very intrigued. This is going to be a long case, but it's really interesting and it's really scary and very twisted. So are you ready, Dolores? I mean, Devon? Sorry.
It's okay. Don't worry. We're practicing.
You ready, Devon?
Yes, I'm ready. The name, I had that face because it sounds super familiar. It's a more famous case, isn't it?
It's a famous case, yeah.
Okay,
one of them, yeah.
Gotcha. But yes, okay, I am ready. Yes.
All right, so I'm just gonna cite my source real quick. Murderpedia, which is like encyclopedia but for murder. It's a really cool source. If you guys want to check it out, Murderpedia, you can find almost like every killer out there in the world.
Okay.
That's done really heinous crimes. So
great.
let's talk about Miss Dorothea Helen Gray. Dorothea Helen Gray was born January 9th of 1929 in the city of San Bernardino, California. Unfortunately, she was born into a family of two alcoholics. Starting off great.
Yeah, that's rough.
That's really rough. Dorothea's home life wasn't great. Both parents abused her and wouldn't feed her, which led her to scavenge for her own food.
Oh, that's poor baby. That's so sad.
So talking about a rough. That's hard.
Yeah. Oh.
I'm not putting that in. I just had to get that out. There. Thankfully, her father... I like how I said this. I put it in there this way. Thankfully, her father did pass when she was only 8 of tuberculosis in 1937. I mean, he was an alcoholic who wouldn't feed her and abused her. So, thankfully, he's dead.
Trauma on top of trauma on top of trauma. Fuck.
So he died of tuberculosis when she was only 8 in 1937, and then a year later, her mother had passed as well due to a motorcycle accident in 1938.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so they both died.
So at at 10, she already lost both of her parents.
Yeah,
That's it.
that sucks. Well, until she was able to be taken in by relatives, the state of California put her into an orphanage. So fast forward to 1945, she had gotten married at the age of 16 to a soldier named Fred McFall. Yeah, very young. Mm-hmm. Very young. Dorothea had 2 daughters with Fred from 1946 to 1948. But like her parents gave her so much loving devotion... she sent one away to live with relatives in Sacramento, and she sent the other daughter to an orphanage. Great mom.
Oh, I can almost give her some credit for doing that, because that's pretty young. I'm not judging anyone that has young kids, but I mean, I don't know. Maybe she felt like that was the best option for her at the time.
I'm like, but why not? Why did she send one of them to live with relatives and the other one to an orphanage?
Yeah, I do kind of find that part weird.
Yeah, that's kind of fucked.
Yeah.
She's like, you know what? I couldn't have the best of both worlds, so I'll have one daughter have this one, and one daughter have this one, and y'all come back to me in 20 years and tell me how that went.
Ooh, I don't like any of it.
Yeah, it's rough.
Yeah.
Dorothea would become pregnant again in 1948, but suffered a miscarriage. That same year, Fred McFall left her.
Oh.
Dorothea was heartbroken. Later in life, she would lie that he had died of a heart attack within days of their union. And I'm just assuming because she was so heartbroken, she didn't want people to know that he had left her.
Yeah.
So she lied saying that he had died of a heart attack.
Well, I think during that time, too, is very looked down upon for, like, divorce and stuff like that.
Yeah, because this is about to hit the 50s right now. Then after him leaving her, she started to forge checks and was later caught and sent to jail for a year. But she was then paroled for 6 months.
Okay.
So soon after her release, she got pregnant again with a man that she had barely known. She gave birth to another daughter, and guess what she did with the baby, Dolores?
Bye-bye, giveaway.
Yeah, bye-bye, gave the baby up for adoption.
Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah, well, in 1952, she remarried a Swedish man named Axel Johansson. They were married for 14 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, very long time. But the marriage was, like, tumultuous. It was bad.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, after these 14 long years of a terrible marriage, Dorothea divorced Axel Johansson in 1966. She then again remarried to a man named Robert Puente. The marriage was hard due to the fact that Robert was 19 years younger than Dorothea.
I'm trying to math. So she's maybe like in her late 30s, and he's
1966. She was born in 1929.
Okay, so hold on. Let me look this up. Let me math. 1966 minus 1929. Oh, I was right. Okay, so she's like 37, so minus
37.
Holy shit, he's a baby.
Yeah.
He's like 17 or 18.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, he's young.
Yeah.
So the marriage was hard due to the fact that Robert was 19 years younger than Dorothea. Just before their marriage ended 2 years later, Dorothea took over a 3-story, 16-bedroom care home at 2100 F Street in Sacramento, California.
Wow.
There she provided care and comfort to the homeless and destitute.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah. So she ruled her care home with a firm hand, but also provided to be the hostess of the mostest. Looks like she had turned her life around at this point, and turned her life around from forging checks. She would often throw her doors open at Easter and Christmas to throw massive lavish parties to the poor, to the homeless, but also the social workers in the district whose endorsement would ensure her success with this care home, because she was so amazing and kind to all these homeless and destitute people coming in. Social care workers would then trust her to put board people up in her care home, knowing that they'd be well taken care of.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So, In 1976, Puente married for the third time, meaning Dorothea married for the third time, because at this time she still has the last name of Puente. Just like her father and mother, this man was a raging alcoholic. This man is Pedro Montalvo, who became physically abusive when fueled by alcohol, which was often. Unable to control him, she turned her attention to the care of her tenants, and although she provided them with the most basic of care, they were content. So she was being, physically abused by this alcohol. So instead of just cowering in all that pain, she used all that pain to take care of the people that were in her home. And
kind of putting that energy towards more of a positive aspect.
Positive, exactly. So good for her. So within months, Montalvo was gone, and Dorothea consoled herself by spending time in bars looking for male company. So she preferred older men, preferably those who were receiving benefits. They, in turn, were attracted to her snappy clothes, warming and caring manner.
Fair.
So we have high hopes for Dorothea.
Yeah.
Right? She turned her life around, started this care home. It sucks she got in a really alcoholic, abusive relationship. Now she's spending her time in bars looking for older men who are receiving benefits. Probably to hey, how's it going, boo thing?
Yeah.
Let me get with you, be my sugar daddy, right?
Yeah, she's doing her thing. She's kind of playing up her cards right now.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that wasn't the case.
Oh, well, okay. Never mind.
There we go. When meeting with these older men, her system was simple. She would win her victims over with her charms, steal their benefit checks, and cash them by forging their signatures. So she's back to forging checks again.
Homegirl reverted back to
hey. She's like, ooh, Bert, fuck, you're so old and so cute. Aren't I sexy? That wrinkle is just, oh my name. Ooh, give me that $2,000 check and I'll let you see my ankle. Yeah.
You're so stupid.
Yeah. So that's what she would do. She would forge their signatures and collect their money.
Oh my God.
Well, the plan. Yeah. So this plan worked very well for a while, but eventually she was caught and charged with 34 counts of treasury fraud.
Ooh, you know what just reminded me of? Sorry, side note. Have you seen the movie Hustlers?
Yeah.
That's what they would do. They would get those guys
exactly.
They would get those guys inebriated. Say, "Oh, daddy, you gonna pay for our food? You gonna pay for our drinks?" They go take them out.
Yeah.
They fucking take their credit cards. They run them up like crazy, and then take their credit card numbers and take their money.
Yeah, and blackmail them. Be like, if you come out and come after us, we have all these things against you. She didn't do that part. I think she just hit it and quit it.
Yeah.
She said, "Ooh, daddy, thank you for the money. Goodbye."
Yeah, literally. She did the old school way.
Yeah, so she was caught and she was charged with 34 counts of treasury fraud. So instead of stopping her operation while in probation, she continued to do this.
What a dumb hoe for that.
Yeah, but
whatever.
So from here on out, weird things started to happen in Dorothea's boarding house. In April of 1982, she had received a new tenant by the name of Ruth Monroe. She was 61 and was instantly overwhelmed by Dorothea's caring nature towards her. Ruth loved this, considering she was an older woman in need, and this other woman was taking grand care of her.
Yeah.
16 days later, Ruth Monroe was later found dead in her room on an overdose of codeine and Tylenol.
Oh, shit.
Dorothea was heartbroken. When detectives came to investigate the death of Ruth Monroe, Dorothea explained that Ruth had been deeply depressed over her terminally ill husband and couldn't take it anymore.
Oh, no.
So the detectives were shocked and saddened by the news, but accepted the fate that Ruth had taken her own life. Weeks later, they came back, following up on allegations that Dorothea had been drugging men she met in bars and robbing them. One of the complaints was a 74-year-old pensioner named Malcolm McKenzie. He told police that he had met Dorothea at a local bar called the Zebra Club. They had several drinks together, after which he invited her back to his apartment. Soon after they arrived, however, he became dizzy and, although conscious, was unable to move.
Oh, shit.
He can only sit and watch as Dorothea searched the house for valuables, taking his rare penny collection and a diamond ring that was forcibly removed from his finger. So she roofied his ass.
I was going to say, she's a fucking savage. Wow.
Yeah. She's like, ooh, Daddy, let's go to your place. Ooh, let's get it on here. Drink this first. Let's take a shot together. And then he's all dizzy, and then she just mugs him.
She's a dumbass, though. Why didn't she, like, move him in a certain way so he didn't see anything?
See, or wait till he was, like, passed out or something.
Yeah, that was just fucking dumb.
But, nah, she's dumb. Well, she's been doing it for so long and has gotten a slap on the wrist for so long, right? So...
You would think she'd be a little smarter.
To end, yeah, well... It's about to end now because your ass about to get caught. So on August 18th of 1982, Dorothea went before the courts and was convicted on 3 charges of theft and sentenced to 5 years imprisonment.
Deep.
Yeah, in a surprising decision, however, Judge Roger Warren refused to take into account other similar charges that had been made against her, a decision which almost certainly saved her from a much longer jail term. So remember, she's been doing this for a long time. And instead of using all of these to put her in jail for like more than 5 years, like 20, 30 years, he only used this one case instead of all the others.
She's very lucky.
Yeah, the judge dismissed it.
What year was this again?
1982.
1982. I want to see how old she is. Oh, now she's in her early 50s. Wow.
Yeah, early 50s, yeah. So Dorothea Puente was no stranger to prison and quickly adapted herself to the regimen of Sacramento County. She was a talker who constantly told the other inmates with stories of her exploits and achievements and theft and mugging. Congratulations. On one occasion, she broke the unspoken rule of life inside by telling a guard who was responsible for an attack on a fellow prisoner. An error of judgment that earned her a savage beating. Because you're not supposed to tell your life inside prison to the officers inside, because those officers can snitch on your ass.
I was going to say,
sometimes these officers are corrupt, and because she ended up snitching on someone, she got her ass beat.
Dumb bitch.
Snitches get stitches. So, as a result of the attack, she was transferred to protective custody. While in her new accommodation, she received a letter that was going to change the direction of her life.
Oh? Okay.
Yeah. It was sent by a 77-year-old retiree named Everson Gilmouth, who made a habit of writing letters to women in prison. Given Dorothea's name, he began corresponding with her on a regular basis from his home in Oregon. She responded in kind, and an intimate relationship soon developed. So she was like, sweet talking this old man via letter. I think we all know where this is going. For Dorothea, Everson Gilmouth was more than kind words and heartfelt emotions. He was her ticket out. She wanted money and respectability, and he had both.
Homegirl doesn't know when to quit.
No, she's just using him, which she's using him to get the hell out of prison and also get that money.
Yeah, meal ticket.
Yeah, meal ticket. So Everson, on the other hand, had become completely obsessed with Dorothea to the point that when she was released in September of 1985, just after 3 years in prison, he was there to meet her in his red 1980 Ford pickup. That's important. Red 1980 Ford pickup. Okay? Remember that. Also in attendance was her old friend, Ricardo Ordorcia, the owner of the boarding house at 1426 F Street, where she took a room for only just $200 a month. Oh, God, that's so cheap.
Yeah, no kidding. Shit.
That's so cheap. So following her release, the relationship with Everson developed rapidly, and they were soon making wedding plans.
Oh, what the fuck?
Because they've been talking for at least 3+ years.
I mean, I guess.
Right? And she's got her nails in him, right? And he's obsessed.
Oh, God. Ew.
So she found him undemanding as a lover and more than willing to do her bidding. He opened a bank account in both their names, and soon after, she offered her friend, Ricardo, $600 a month to rent the whole house. Her dream of renting her own boarding house had soon become a reality again.
I don't like any of this.
So now she's doing this again.
Yeah.
She's renting the whole boarding house again, right? Well, like I said, maybe it'll turn her life around because she found him. Okay, I know she found a man with money, but he's not a raging alcoholic. He seems to really like her. I know she's going to use him for his money, but at least he's not a piece of shit. Also, she gets to do her own boarding house now, and she's out of prison. And last time she did her boarding house, she was really well at it, and people really liked her. I mean, unfortunately, that woman died under her care, but that's because Dorothea said that she wanted to commit suicide. So
I don't know. I don't trust her.
That's all right. So maybe maybe her life will turn around, right, Dolores? You think so? Campers, you think so? We'll find out. Let's see. So in 1998, my brother was born. 1998,
Wow.
Dorothea hired a local handyman, Ismael Flores, to put some wood paneling in her house. It was a great deal and was $800 for a paneling job. That's how much she was getting paid. Ismael would then buy a red 1980 Ford pickup from her in great condition. Dorothea told him it had belonged to her ex-boyfriend in Los Angeles, who no longer had a need for it. Ooh, not ex-boyfriend, her boyfriend.
Yeah.
Ismael was more than happy with the exchange, but Dorothea told him she had one last job for him if he would be so kind. Remember who had a red 1980 Ford pickup? Mm-hmm. That was her soon-to-be husband.
Yeah.
And now she's selling it to him in great condition, saying that it belonged to her boyfriend in Los Angeles, who no longer had a need for it.
So where the fuck is he?
The case. So, like I said, Dorothea was like, you know what? Buy this truck. I have one more thing I need you to do, if you'd be so kind. He's like, sure. Dorothea needed a box built. The box needed to be big enough to store some old books and some miscellaneous items. The box needed to be 6 feet long and 3 feet wide and 2 feet deep.
There we go.
Yeah. I think we're all putting the puzzle pieces together right now.
That sounds a little sus on my part.
Yeah. It's a fucking coffin. So Dorothea wasn't there at the time the box was built because she wrote him this on a note. So he saw this on the note. He's like, all right, I'll build you this weird long box that's 6 feet by 3 feet by 2 feet deep.
Why would you not? I know he has no context.
He's getting paid for it.
I guess, but he has no. I get he has no context, but I don't know. Like, you're selling me a random truck. Now I need you to make me a fucking weird ass box.
But wait, things get weirder.
Okay.
So he built the box, and when he returned the following day, she told him to meet him upstairs to move the box downstairs. He did so, but noticed the box he made was nailed shut. Dolores. He didn't bother and continued to help Dorothea with the extremely heavy box in the back of his truck, where Dorothea told him they would take it to a storage depot. When he left for the storage depot, Dorothy went with him for the ride. On the way to the depot, she abruptly changed her mind and had Ismael stop off Garden Highway in Southern County and dump the box by the riverbank. He questioned her decision, but she quickly explained that the contents were mainly junk and she would have just dumped them out anyway. So he accepted her explanation and they returned home, where they shared a few beers.
There's no fucking way he just was like, oh yeah, sure, let me do the thing. There's no way. He couldn't have been that dumb. No.
Dolores, when I say he was that dumb, he was that dumb. He trusted her. Remember, she's really good. She's really good at being charismatic and very trusting. So he just was like, all right, cool. Yeah, let's do it.
What the fuck?
So on New Year's Day, 1986, two fishermen found this foul-smelling box that was now half submerged in the river.
Wait. 1986?
Yeah.
You said 1990.
Hi, you guys. I just realized I fucked up on a few of my dates. This all takes place in the 80s. I somehow jumped us up into the 90s. We're still in the 80s. I can't tell you exactly the year because I have it wrong on here. And yeah, but we're just going to continue on.
I'm going to assume.
All right.
I'm going to assume that the hiring was
the date
probably,
that I have in here is
yeah,
was like a year prior, probably. Yeah.
I'm assuming
Or
it's like
maybe
mid 80s, maybe mid 80s, and then the end
Yeah.
of the 80s is when everything is coming up.
Yeah. So on New Year's Day, 1986, two fishermen found the foul-smelling box that was now half submerged in the river. They informed the local police, who attended the scene and pried the box open. Inside, they found the remains of Everson Gilmouth.
There it is.
He was dressed in his underwear, wrapped in a white bedsheet, and bound with electrical black tape. The body showed no signs of wounding and was decomposed beyond the point of recognition.
Ew.
The only distinguishing feature was a wristwatch with a metallic band that still clung to the corpse's left wrist. So with no identifiable characteristics to go on, the police soon added another John Doe to the list of unsolved homicides. where it was to remain unidentified for 3 years.
So the police don't know it's him, but
they don't know that it's him. We know that it's
Got
him. Yeah, they don't know that it's him yet. With Gilmouth gone, Dorothea continued to collect his pension and wrote letters to his family explaining away his absence and lack of being able to talk to them due to his ill health. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she's collecting his money. He's dead now. Oh, he can't come to the phone right now. Oh, he can't write you back. He's so ill. I'm taking care of him. Don't worry about it.
All right, well, how'd the bitch do it? How'd she do it?
Dun, dun, dun. Well, she hasn't changed her life around. If anything, it's just gotten worse.
Great.
She's from stealing to now murder.
Yeah.
Murder and stealing. Undaunted, Dorothea explained her operation. Expanded her operation and took on 40 new tenants who were mostly drunks and drug addicts. She was earning good money, and she was also squandering most of it on her lavish lifestyle and went back to cruising bars looking for new customers.
Oh my God.
With her house full of paying guests, she devised a plan whereby she collected all the mail and opened it before the tenants saw it. She would then give them each a small amount to spend, which normally lasted as far as the nearest bar.
She's reckless.
So she'd be like, she's like, I'm going to collect all of your checks.
Yeah.
And I'm going to give you what I think is feasible for you, because the rest of it, I'm going to put towards the house, food, meals, electricity, bills.
That's elder abuse.
And she would only... Yeah. Well, well, some of these are elderly, and some of these are just drunk and homeless. So she's just really abusing the shit out of them.
Yeah.
So drunk and out of control, they would be placed. They would be then picked up by police. These drunken people, because she would just give them enough money to go to these bars nearby and get fucking wasted. Mm-hmm. So drunk and out of control, they would be picked up by the police, who are usually acting on an anonymous tip. Then these people would be locked for 30 days, during which the time Dorothy would pocket their benefit money.
That little shit. So she schemed it all.
Yeah, She's
she
getting
really
these people purposely drunk. Yeah. I mean, I give it to her. She's. This is a lot smarter than what she was doing previously with older men in bars, because they're going to trust this older woman who has a care home, taking care of all these people, than this drunk homeless man or these drunk alcoholics. I mean, I give it to her. Like, that's a smart cookie right there.
Okay, maybe she's not being as reckless as I think. That's actually pretty smart. She's thinking like 10 steps ahead to be able to keep collecting all this money.
Yeah. Wow. What I thought was messed up is that she killed her soon-to-be husband. Yeah, that part was stupid. So in the following months, more mysterious disappearances were reported. On August 19th, Betty Palmer, a 77-year-old resident of Dorothea's boarding house, never returned from the doctor's appointment. Several weeks later, Dorothea was in possession of an ID in Betty's name, but it bore her own picture, which she used to collect Betty's benefits. In February the next year, another tenant, Leona Carpenter, was discharged from the hospital and placed in Dorothea's care. She was 78. Dorothea made her a bed on the couch as a temporary measure, but 2 weeks later she went missing and was never heard from again.
What the fuck is she doing?
James Gallup was 62 and was last seen July of 1987 when he was treated by his doctor after months in the hospital following an operation to remove a brain tumor. He told the doctor he was moving into a boarding house at 1426 F Street. The following October, the 62-year-old Vera Martin moved into the boarding house and was never seen of again. Neither was homeboy with the brain tumor.
What the fuck?
To recover. Bert Montoya arrived in the following February, and soon after Dorothea took charge of his affairs, he too disappeared. When the other tenants asked about him, they were told that he had that this man, Bert Montoya, left for Mexico to visit his family.
Okay, This is like 5 or 6 people at this point. How is no one catching on?
I don't know.
What the fuck?
But I know these are elderly people, so I know I didn't put it in here, but because I was just going to say it out loud. She had also said like, oh, they just wandered off because they're old and they're just like not all there. They just ran away, which does happen.
Yes.
It's called like it's not like an Amber Alert. It's like a Silver Alert. That people put out for elderly that are just wandered. And she'll use that often. She'll say, oh, she went upstate to go visit her family. This guy went to Mexico. Oh, he left her the liquor store and never came back, so I don't know. But then they wouldn't be dead, they'd be missing, so she was able to still collect all of their pension, which we all know, I think they're dead.
Yeah.
If they're all missing. So in May of 1988, when neighbors complained of a sickly sweet smell in her yard, Dorothea blamed the aroma on applications of fish emulsion. One resident called it like, we couldn't stand it. There was a sick smell in the air, and there were lots of flies in the area.
Ew.
Right? Dorothea had a massive garden behind the home, and many say there was like always a mound of dirt in the backyard. Always a large mound of dirt. When asked, she told the tenants she was simply tending to her garden and adding new soil. She also had a massive rose garden as well that was constantly changed.
What the fuck?
So the stench hovered over Sacramento neighborhood like a putrid fog, sickly, sweet, and pungent. Everyone knew where it came from. The yard of the pale blue Victorian at 1426 F Street, where Dorothea Puente rented out rooms to elderly and infirm boarders. So everybody knew it was her house. This pungent, rotten smell. During the summer, it got so bad that some neighbors preferred to turn off their air conditioners and suffer the blazing Delta heat rather than have the fans suck the stench into their homes.
Ew, that's horrible.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
So she would often say the sewers backed up. Other times she blamed rats rotting under the floorboards or the fish emulsion she'd used to fertilize the garden. She tried to blot out the smell of it by dumping bags of lime and gallons of bleach into the yard and spraying her parlor with lemon-scented air freshener when guests dropped in. But no matter how hard she tried, the stench refused to fade. It clung to the boarding house like a curse.
Yeah. Okay, so my question is, how is this bitch putting these bodies into the ground on her own?
Let's keep reading, Dolores. Let's keep going. So prior to Bert Montoya's disappearance, Dorothea Puente had already begun to arouse suspicion, but not with the police. Following complaints that she had been running an illegal boarding care facility, the Department of Social Services inspector arrived at the house to inspect the facility.
Here we go.
Right? Although the inspector was aware that she had previously been convicted for misuse of her client's benefits, she was able to lie her way out of trouble.
Wow.
Yeah. A field report later compiled by the same inspector declared the complaints unfounded.
Are you fucking kidding me?
She was able to lie her ass away from social services. She was like, yeah, no, people are saying these things about me, and no, like, I'm so good, and this is great, and everybody loves me here. I don't mistreat anybody. I don't do that anymore. I'm a better person.
Where's my mama? Bring my mama into this. Bring my mama into this.
They were like, facts. If your mom was here, your mom would be like, bitch, let me in. It's
She'd
time
be
for
like,
me to do some snooping.
Really? That's what's going on here? Let me fucking figure this shit out.
It's doing so good. It's doing so good here. It smells like ass here. Yeah. So Dorothea would continue with her operation for a while longer until Peggy Nickerson, a social worker who had sent many clients to Dorothea's home, became suspicious when she tried to visit some of the people she had sent there. Dorothea told her that they had moved away. Initially, she believed the stories because most of the people in question were transients and had a long history of wandering off or returning to their old ways. In the absence of any evidence to support her suspicions, Nickerson stopped sending people to the house just in case.
Yeah, good idea.
Yeah. So finally, on November 7th, following a visit to the house, Judy Moyes filed a missing persons report with the police, stating that she did not accept Dorothea's story about Bert having gone to Mexico.
Yeah, no.
Right? Remember Bert Montoya? She's like, oh yeah, he went to Mexico. It wasn't mine.
Yeah, no.
He was not the type to. Yeah, so he was not the type to run away. That she told the police. The police accepted her complaint and went to the house to question Dorothea and look around. While they were there, I lost my place. While they were there, a male resident passed a note to one of the officers which described how Dorothea had told him to lie. Dun dun dun. 4 days later, police returned with a warrant to search the house and dig up the garden.
Oh, fuck, here we go.
Here we go. They began digging and quickly turned up what looked like shreds of cloth and some kind of jerky.
Ew! Ew!
Or leather.
Ew!
When their efforts were hampered by what appeared to be a tree root, the police officer Cabrera whacked and jabbed it with a shovel, but it didn't budge. So he decided to climb down into the hole and get his hands dirty. This is what he says.
I'm gonna throw up.
I wrapped my hand around it, braced my feet, and started pulling. Cabrera later told the Sacramento Bee, which is like the journal. I pulled so hard that it broke loose, and when I pulled up, I could see the joint. It was a bone. At the time, I was airborne out of the hole because he went, well, bah, pulled it up and flew. Yeah.
He yeeted himself.
Yeah, so he pulled a femur out of the
Oh my
ground. That's why it
God.
was so hard. Yeah, femur, if you guys didn't know, femur is the hardest bone in the body, the hardest one to break. Yeah. So hearing the commotion, Dorothea walked around the corner of the yard and peered into the hole herself. And when Cabrera told her what they had found, that they found a human corpse, what appeared to be, she acted like,
Don't.
slapped her hands on her face.
No.
Oh my God, a body in my backyard? Oh my God, honey. So, she just couldn't believe that shit, all right? So the men stopped digging. Yeah, I know. She's such a dumb bitch. So the men stopped digging, and that's when they found a shoe with a piece of foot still wedged in it.
Stop.
Yeah.
No.
So they decided to return the next day with some proper equipment. All right. The next morning, a Saturday, a team of forensic anthropologists, officials from the coroner's office, and a county work crew equipped with heavy machinery descended on the property. The first person they dug up from the yard was the body the officer had stumbled across the day before. It was a small female with gray hair that had rotted into the skeleton. So the skeleton still had the gray hair.
Ew.
Yeah. A crowd of onlookers and reporters watched the proceedings from the other side of the high fence, the Los Angeles Times reported. Boys shimmied up trees for a better view. The mood was party-like until a fresh body was unburied and carried to the coroner's wagon, and the crowd grew solemn. I like how it's like, oh, a skeleton. Ooh, an actual flesh body? I'm so sorry, rest in peace. Like I took that. Skeleton, oh, that's sad. But body, oh, that's real sad. I don't get it.
Do you remember
Fucking
what case was it when? What case was it when?
Boing.
Sorry, I hit my water bottle. What was it? Was it Ed Gein's? When the town was hyping up, like, we're gonna start selling ladyfingers and all this. That's what it reminds me
literally. Yeah. Except,
like making light of it, but really it's fucking serious.
Yeah, but it's really serious. So, as the team drilled through a slab of concrete and prepared to excavate beneath it, Dorothea walked into the yard and approached Cabrera, wearing a cherry red overcoat and purple pumps and carrying a pink umbrella. She asked the detective if she was under arrest, and he said no. She asked if she can go to the Claren Hotel a few blocks away to have a cup of coffee. Because hotels, you have like little bars and cafes underneath.
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah, sure, yeah. So he escorted her past the reporters and curious onlookers before returning to the yard work. In a rapid succession, the team found 3 bodies under the slab of cement and a 5th under a gazebo in the side yard, the Sacramento Bee reported. But by the time authority noticed that the white-haired landlady had never returned from the hotel, 4 hours at best, Dorothea Puente was hundreds of miles away.
What idiots! Why would you let this is her place?
I'm a little old lady. Oh my God, all these transits coming to my home probably did it. All these alcoholic bitches probably did it. What? Can it be me? I'm a little old lady. I'm gonna go get some coffee. Bye. Deuces, bitch. And then she
Yeah.
get the fuck out.
Well, now she's the prime
So-
suspect. Now she's fucking been gone for hours.
Yeah. So over the following days, 7 bodies, including Bert Montoya's, were unearthed. One body, that of Betty Palmer, was missing the head, hands, and lower legs. At the same time, the police began an investigation into the disappearance. What the fuck did I just say?
Yeah.
Disappearance. At the same time, the police began an investigation into the disappearances of Everson Gilmuth and Ruth Monroe. Gilmuth was later identified from the hospital x-rays, but no cause of death was determined. Post-mortem examination of the 7 bodies in the yard revealed large concentrations of the drug flurazepam or Dalamane, as it is commercially known. Police later found dozens of prescriptions for the drug among Dorothea's personal papers. As the investigation progressed, detectives discovered that Dorothea had cashed over 60 benefit checks belonging to the deceased after their deaths. With sufficient evidence and a strong motive in place, the police made moves to arrest Dorothea for murder, only to realize that they had let her slip away
Dumb
while they had been
bitches.
searching the garden.
Dumb bitches.
Right, so she was poisoning all these people, right?
Okay.
Poisoning all of them.
So now we know how she did that, but how is she... There's no way this little old bitch is fucking...
I'm gonna get into it. So
what the fuck?
These are the people that they had unearthed.
Okay.
Right? Alvaro Montoya, or Bert Montoya, he was only 51.
Mm-hmm.
He was pardon my language, but this is what they wrote. I won't even say it. The R word, schizophrenic. A mentally ill schizophrenic
Well,
who argued in Spanish. Yeah.
That's how they...
Who argued in Spanish.
The term back then, yeah.
Yeah. A mentally ill schizophrenic who argued in Spanish with the voices inside his head and called Dorothea Mama, found under a newly planted apricot tree in the side yard.
Oh, that makes
Dorothy
it worse.
Miller, 64, an American Indian with a drinking problem or an indigenous person with a drinking problem who liked to recite poems about heartbreak, found her arms taped to her chest with duct tape. The last time her social worker saw her, she was sitting on the front porch enjoying a cigarette. Benjamin Fink, a 55-year-old alcoholic, found dressed in striped boxer shorts shortly before he disappeared in April of 1988. Dorothea told another boarder that he was going to take Ben upstairs and make him feel better. That's what Dorothea told another tenant. Which we all know she killed him. Betty Palmer, 78, whose remains, missing the head, hands, and lower legs, were found in a sleeveless white gown below a statue of St. Francis de Assisi, a few feet from the sidewalk at the front of the house.
What the fuck?
Yeah, she buried someone in the front of the house. Yeah.
What the fuck? Okay.
Yeah, but was missing the head, hands, and lower legs. Leonora Carpenter, also 78, who was discharged from the hospital to Dorothea's care in February 1987 and had spent several weeks in agonizing on a sofa before disappearing. She was buried near the back fence, and it was her leg bone that Detective Cabrera mistook for a tree root. James Gallup, a 62-year-old who survived a heart attack and brain tumor surgery, but not Dorothea Puente. Vera Faye Martin, 64, whose wrist watch was still ticking when she was unearthed.
Wow.
Yeah. So what she would do is that she would overdose them, right, Dolores? She would overdose them on these drugs. Oh, this is going to make you feel better. No, you're in so much pain. This is going to make you feel better. It would almost put you into a coma. Either it would stop your heart or you'd be put into a coma and still hear, see, and feel everything. All right? So then when everybody was asleep, during the day, she would start digging holes in the backyard, right, where she was going to bury them at. She would then drag them down the stairs. And because she had such a tight curfew, no one could leave their room. Like, they were terrified to leave their room at that time. So if they heard any noise, they weren't allowed to come outside. It was just how she ran her ship in this boarding house, right?
God, she was abusive.
So, yeah. So sometimes she would store the bodies in her room and they would rot in there. That's why the floorboards would stink so bad. Mm-hmm. Then when there was a time to safely, I guess, bury the bodies, she would then drag them from her room out into the garden and then dispose of them.
On her own?
On her own.
Questionable.
I know it sounds funny, but it was on her. She's not that old. On her own. My parents are like, my dad is. My mom just turned. Oh, God, sorry, Mom. She just turned 50, but she's still very strong.
Yes.
She's not an old lady. She puts herself out as an old lady because you can get away with a lot more as an old lady.
Yeah.
As an elderly person, you're able to get with a lot more. Oh, sorry, I forgot. Oh, it's $10. I only have 5. Oh, is that okay? I'm sorry. Yeah, sure. Okay, of course, old lady. You're old. You're nice. You know?
Oh
I would believe that shit. I'd be like, yeah, don't worry about the extra $5. It's good. Meanwhile, she's 50. She's like, gotcha, bitch. You know? So she's putting up a good front. So that's how she was able to bury these bodies in her backyard.
Okay. All right.
All right, so while the police struggled to right their wrongs and appease the disbelieving public, Dorothea Puente safely hid herself away in room 31 at the Royal Viking Hotel in downtown Los Angeles. Ayo. Having booked in under the name of Dorothea Johansson. Johansson was one of her ex-member husbands.
Yeah.
She kept a low profile and stayed in her room watching TV, only venturing out for meals. Several days after her arrival, however, she became restless and took a cab to a bar, just 2 miles from her hotel. Wearing makeup and dressed in her best clothes, go Dorothea, Dorothea looked out of place in a seedy bar, but she soon came to the attention of one of its patrons, a sad and lonely man named Charles Wilges. The pair soon struck up a conversation during which Dorothea introduced herself as Donna Johansson. The conversation continued as Donna weaved her usual magic to the point that when she complained that her shoe heels were worn down from walking around town, this man, Will Giles, took them to a repair shop across the street from the bar and to have them repaired. That's how good she is. That's how good she is at manipulating these men. Oh my God, my heels are just so worn down. Like, if you love me that much, you'll get them fixed. And the man's like, yeah, I got you, bitch. Let's do this. I'm going to get some tonight. I'm going to fix your shoes. With Dorothea taking the lead, talking soon led to Wilges' financial situation. She was able to ask about, hey, how's money going on in your life? Learning that he was receiving sickness benefits, she offered to show him how to increase the amount he received each month by filing out additional forms to capitalize on his condition. While impressed by her knowledge of such things, he began to wonder how she came to know so much about it. Which finally, I guess a smart man, don't sign anything this bitch gives you. You're gonna steal all your money.
Yeah, no kidding.
So after a few drinks, Dorothea suggested that they get together and share a Thanksgiving dinner. The idea sounded appealing to Charles, but for some reason he began to feel uncomfortable, particularly when she suggested that they move in together. Like, she's saying this all within the time that they first met.
What the fuck? She's so weird.
Yeah, so they talked for hours until Charles was able to excuse himself with the promise of taking her shopping the next day. He returned to his apartment, but was unable to relax as something continually gnawed at his brain. It was only when he switched on the television that he realized where his bad feeling was originated. Donna, quote unquote, this woman he had seen on television that morning, that woman who was wanted in Sacramento on suspicion of multiple murder. So he goes, that's not Donna, that's Dorothea. This is the lady that has been killing people. Holy shit! Well, I just was with her.
It's her dumbass's fault for being so impulsive and still starting this shit up really quickly. She should have waited a cool minute, stayed low, but no, her dumbass needs to go back out and still play her game and try and get all this money and attention. Yeah. Stupid.
So reluctant to call the police, he called CBS News Service instead and spoke to the assignment editor, Gene Silver. Silver, a veteran newsman, listened patiently to Wilga's story before suggesting that he watch a news broadcast to see if the woman he met was actually Dorothea. So I don't know why he didn't go to the police. He went to like a news station instead.
Maybe he was worried of getting the police involved with himself as well. I mean, not that he's done anything wrong, but I don't know. That's kind of a lot of heat to jump into really quick.
Charles did so, but was no wiser, as the broadcast failed to show any photos of Dorothea, so he couldn't compare. Smelling a breaking story, Silver then suggested that he bring over a news photo of Dorothea so that Charles could be sure. So it didn't have any footage of her, but they did have like a news article picture of her. And so hey, I know this might be the woman you're talking about, but let's just make sure, because we don't want to run with the story and then it's not her. And this poor lady is like, why are you here? News people, I'm not this crazy lady. Because that would be very embarrassing. And they'd probably all get fired. So sometime later, Charles sat staring at the image that Silver had supplies, but was still unsure. Eventually, aided by Silver's gentle prodding, Charles agreed that the woman he met in the bar could very well be Dorothea Puente. Armed with his newfound knowledge, Silver then returned to his office, summoned a camera crew, and rang the police. With everything in place, the police, accompanied by Silver and his news crew, arrived at the Royal Viking at 10:20 p.m. and knocked on the door of room 31. Dorothea answered the door, momentarily blinded by the glare of the TV camera lights, and was promptly asked for some form of identification. With nowhere to run, Dorothea took her driver's license from her handbag and handed it to the detectives. If there had been any doubt as to her identity, it quickly dissolved when the police read the name on the license. Dorothea Montalvo, the address 1426 F Street, Sacramento.
Dumb bitch, you played
Dumb
yourself.
motherfucker. Yeah, so I don't know why her ID read differently than Dorothea Puentes. I think it's because the last guy she married.
She's had a lot of, because she's been there at that residence for how many marriages now, so I'm sure she has a couple different IDs.
Couple of IDs, yeah. But I just imagine she's like, knock, knock, ooh, it's my man from the bar, ooh, he's gonna whisk me away, take me shopping, and then, lights! Have you seen that clip of of iCarly when she enters in the apartment and she's blinded by that light?
Oh my god!
And she's like,
oh my god, it's been a minute.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, that's her in that moment.
Oh my god!
I'll have to put that. I'll have to put that clip in our story on Instagram.
Oh, I love it.
But yeah. So she got caught. Yay! So, within hours, Dorothea was whisked away to the airport, where she was placed on a Lear jet, chartered for the purpose by KCRA-TV and the Sacramento Bee, and returned to Sacramento. During the journey, she told a reporter, "I cashed the checks. Yes, I cashed them. But I never killed anyone.
Oh,
I used to be a good person once."
I can't. You can't play this game anymore.
I can't.
You can't play this fucking game anymore. Bitch, you're
either.
caught. You're caught.
Yeah,
Just
you're
fucking
caught.
confess.
I know. She was later booked into Sacramento County Jail, where her property was found to include an envelope containing $3,042.55. That was on her person. So later the same morning, she was led into court, where she met with her two court-appointed attorneys, Peter Valton and Kevin Climo. 7 minutes later, she was arraigned without bail on one count of murder, that of Bert Montoya, where Dorothea sat in jail. The police continued the long and grueling process of identifying remains and processing evidence. So by this time, they were only able to identify one person. They know there's all these other bodies, but they still haven't been able to identify them yet. Does that make sense? That's why she's only...
For the one count.
Accounted for one, yeah. So finally, after months of preparation, the prosecution was ready for the pre-trial hearings to begin on April 25th of 1990. So this is a while later.
Shit. Yeah, it's been a couple years now.
Yeah. Well, within the same year, because that happened in 1988 when she ended up being caught. So a few years later.
Years, yeah.
I'm not too not too far away. Okay, so media and members of the public alike converged on the Sacramento courthouse to take part in the most intriguing trials of the state's history.
Yeah.
Standing before Judge Gail, Judge Gail H. Ohanessian, that's a weird last name, the prosecution team launched their case, intent on portraying Dorothea Puente as a greedy, manipulating, and cold-blooded killer whose sole reason for operating her boarding house was to do away with her clients as a means of claiming her rightful benefits as her own. In response, the defense countered with the assertion that the trial had become a media event and as such was a threat to Dorothea's right to a fair trial. They also asked to change a venue based on the same premise. 2 days of legal arguments following, during which time Judge Ohanessian sat listening patiently as both sides presented their cases. So basically, she's a cold-blooded killer. She invited these people in. She murdered them to collect their checks after they're dead.
Yeah.
She's a crazy bitch. Her defense is saying that they're not saying that she did these things, but they're saying that she's not going to get a fair trial because there's already so much buzz and circulation about her that the jury coming in is already gonna know her and have a pre-cognitive notion about her.
It's already becoming unfair because everything's being glorified as this big giant event that's happening.
Yeah, and everybody knows. So they're asking to move her probably out of county, which I know they've done that with. Jacob covered a case.
I was just gonna say that sounds familiar. Yeah.
Bert something. I think it was Bert something. Anyways, I know they had to do that for him because he was so well liked in the community. Too many people knew him, so he was probably going to get off. So they needed a new county with new people that didn't know him at all or know this case at all to give a fair trial, so that these people didn't have that pre-notion of her.
Exactly.
Him. Anyways, so finally have hearing enough. The judge gave her ruling. She could find no evidence that, although unique in its coverage and ensuing public interest, the trial did not violate Dorothea's constitutional rights to a fair trial and would go ahead as planned. So, oopsie, that sucks. Poor Dorothea. So, over the following days...
Carmen's a bitch.
Dolores. Yeah. So, over the following days, the prosecution presented a long list of witnesses who provided damning evidence to support their case. In response, the defense set out to prove that their client was a victim of circumstance and proceeded to imply that these so-called victims, right, the people who had died, had all died of natural causes, and Dorothea, afraid that she may be held responsible because they died in her care, buried them in the garden.
Stop! There's no way!
That was her case, because they died in her care and she was afraid that she was going to get in trouble. So instead of telling the police and possibly getting in trouble, she buried them in her garden because she was scared.
That is the dumbest shit I have ever heard.
Yeah, she's dumb as fuck. So to support their case, they called upon a battery of supportive witnesses who attested to Dorothea's charitable nature and good works. So they brought in people like, no, she's an awesome lady. Like, she would never do this. This was followed by a string of psychologists who had spent countless hours interviewing Dorothea in her cell. They gave evidence about her troubled childhood and lack of love and understanding, which, they believe, contributed to her obvious levels of stress, which in turn affected her judgment. The defense countered and gave evidence that Dorothea had never been anything other than sane during any period of her life, and proceeded to press home their case that Dorothea Puente was motivated by just one thing: greed. She wanted that money. So on June 29, 1990, the judge gave her ruling. Dorothea Puente would stand trial on 9 counts of murder. Months of delays following until February 9, 1993, the trial opened before Judge Michael J. Verga. So 3 years later.
Jesus Christ.
Again, the prosecution presented their case and the defense countered theirs, each sticking to their original assertions. Over the following months, the trial dragged on through one delay after another until finally, on July 15th, from February all the way to July 15th of that same year, having heard 153 witnesses present, 3,500 pages of evidence, the jury retired to consider their verdict, further pressured by the knowledge that the prosecution was seeking the death penalty, right? So it's all on the jury right now. It's their time to shine. Let's fucking put this bitch away. Are they going to say she's guilty or not guilty? Right?
Question. Do you know if the death penalty was legal in California during that time?
I mean, yeah, if they're seeking it.
But I mean, that's interesting though, because I didn't know that it was ever really. Huh.
Well, it was.
Wow. Okay.
And they're seeking that shit for this crazy bitch.
Sorry, it's just not common nowadays for California or anything.
So days passed with no word as the jury went over the evidence until on the afternoon of August the 2nd, a note was passed to the judge. This is what the note from the jury said. We, the jury, are deadlocked on all 9 counts. We would like further instructions. So what is a deadlock jury? Well, when there are insufficient jurors voting one way or the other to deliver either a guilty or not guilty verdict, the jury is known as a hung jury, or it might be said that jurors are deadlocked. If a verdict still cannot be delivered, at some point the judge will declare a mistrial due to a hung jury.
No.
So it is deadlocked. They can't decide whether she's guilty or not guilty.
After all that shit, are you fucking kidding me? Okay.
Right? Okay, here we go. You ready?
Uh-huh.
It's the following day, after fending off defense motion for a mistrial. They're trying to make sure this mistrial does not happen.
Yeah.
Because if it does, fucked, girl. So, Judge Verga's advice was simple and direct. Go back and try again. That's what the judge told that's what the judge told the jury. Go back and try again. Really think about this. He then proceeded to tell them how to achieve a decision and sent them back to deliberate further. On the afternoon of August 26th, they had reached a verdict.
Give it to me.
Ready?
Give it to me.
Before a packed courtroom, the count clerk read the verdicts. Guilty of crime murder in the second degree of Leola Carpenter. Guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree of Dorothy Miller. Guilty of the crime of murder in the first degree of Ben Fink. Also added was an allegation under special circumstances that found Dorothea Puente had committed multiple murders. How does that make you feel?
Fucking finally. Motherfucking idiots. Why would you not?
Yeah.
Whatever. Anyways, I get it.
So
It's tested. I can't even.
So hearing the verdict, Judge Verga moved to declare a mistrial on the other 6 counts. So she was charged for 4, but the rest of them were mistrialed.
I'm rolling
because
my
they couldn't
fucking
decide.
eyes.
Yeah. So sadly, justice was indeed blind to most of the victims, including Alvaro Jose Rafael Gonzalez Montoya. So Bert Montoya, his was declared a mistrial, even though it was sure that she had killed him. Remember, that was the guy that says, "Oh yeah, he went to Mexico." Mm-hmm. Yeah. So sentencing followed, and more arguments concerning Dorothea's fate were banded around the courtroom. On December 11th of 1993, Judge Verga handed down his sentence. Dorothea Puente was to be committed to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Now, life in prison is only 30 years. But after those 30 years, she does not get the possibility of parole, so she ain't getting out. She's stuck.
She's gonna be fucking either dead or decrepit by then anyways.
Yeah, so on hearing the verdict, a surprisingly buoyant Dorothea declared loudly, "I didn't kill anyone."
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, Dorothea was 64 when she was sent to Central California Women's Facility near Chowchilla, the largest women prison in the country. Dolores, she had died in prison March 27th of 2011.
Whoa.
Yeah, so she's dead now.
Holy
Yeah,
shit.
from 1993 all the way to 2011.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah, but she's dead now. She dead. So the story doesn't end there.
No.
Just because she's dead, it doesn't end there. You ready?
Yes.
Our favorite boy went to go investigate her and find out some more information. Mr. Zach Bagans from
that's
Ghost
right.
Adventures.
I forgot you fucking told me that this was coming into play.
Yeah.
I totally forgot. Oh, I'm really excited.
Yeah, Mr. Zach Bagans and the whole crew were like, "Dorothea Puentes, we're not done with your raggedy ass.
Yeah.
let's go find some information."
Fucking spill the tea.
So on Ghost Adventures, so this is the paranormal part of this case. So Ghost Adventures season 13, episode 5, Zach Bagans and the crew investigate Dorothea Puentes boarding house, or Zach calls it, all dramatically, the murder house. With like all the dramatic music and lightning. So I'm just gonna briefly talk about like some really scary situations that they experience via like paranormally, because it's like a quick review over the entire episode. So, fucking Zach. First off, they have a scary mannequin on the front porch of the home, just chilling, and it's dressed like Dorothea Puentes.
Why?
Yeah, and Zach is all freaked out. Zach's like, "What the fuck?" And then underneath, they have like a overhead porch that houses are built on top of, and there's like a giant bunny man standing there, and like a mannequin bunny man. Zach's like, "What the fuck is going on in this boarding house?" So then Zach, I know, it starts off really strange. And then Zach finds a property sign, like a giant property sign saying, trespassers will be drugged and buried in the yard.
I'm fucking... It's not okay.
Yeah, it's not okay at all. It's so fucked.
It's so insensitive.
It really is. And so Zach and the whole crew are like, oh, is this okay? Is this good? Okay, well, it is what it is, I guess. So the building still has tenants living in them, some old and some younger. There was this older woman who was a tenant there, and she says that she was visited by Dorothea. She was visited by the spirit of Dorothea at night at the foot of her bed. Dorothea's spirit, apparently, from this woman's story, was just staring at her and smiling. And she wasn't smiling with her eyes, she was only smiling with her mouth, but her eyes were dead.
Ew,
like she
hate
looked
that.
angry. So in the middle of the night, she said that when Dorothy was at the foot of her bed, all she could smell was blood. And she said that Dorothea was wearing a yellow dress with black ooze splotches all over it.
Is that maybe what she wore during those times?
I mean, it could be. And it's already scary enough that the spirit of Dorothea Puentes is visiting an elderly woman living in the home.
Yeah.
So when Zach Bagans and the crew were asking the older woman about her experience, they asked, they were asking her, what would you do if you could tell Dorothea? Like, what would you tell Dorothea if you could see her again? Right? If she came to the foot of your bed, what are you going to ask? So during this time, they were doing an EVP session just to see if they could pick up anything during their conversation. So the old woman replied, she would have told Dorothea, what do you want? Like, why are you here? Why not haunt somebody else?
Yeah.
Right? So as they were asking this old woman these questions, after they finished, they went back and listened to the EVP to see if they picked up on anything. So in the EVP, an unexplained voice is captured saying, when she goes, what do you want? It then replies, to die. And then when asked, why are you here? Why don't you haunt somebody else? An EVP is heard saying, you're dead. And it sounds like an old woman saying this in the EVP, the electronic voice phenomena. So Zach and the crew are like, oh my god, holy shit, duh! Right? And they replay it like 6 times. As usual. But yeah, it was really spooky. And the old lady was in like, well, time to find a new place to live.
Yeah, bitches gonna kill my ass.
Zach later in the episode tries to antagonize the spirit of Dorothea by calling her a stupid old woman, and I have absolutely zero fear for you. You're harmless to me. Just then, they caught an EVP saying, I don't care. Yeah, Dorothea's like, I don't give a shit that you don't like me. Yeah, so the EVP says, like, I don't care. Like, aggressively. So Dorothea don't give a shit about Zach Bagans. Not caring about her. So after this, Jay's in the front of the house where Betty Palmer was found. Remember, her head was cut off, her arms and legs were cut off.
Yeah.
So he's where they found her body, and he's using an Ovulus 3. This device allows spirits to select words from a database by using their energy. Jay then asks the spirit of Betty Palmer what has happened to her dismembered body. Like, where did the other parts go?
Yeah.
And the Ovulus replies with, buried east.
What's that supposed to mean? Okay, well, obviously.
I don't know, buried.
I mean, it's obvious what it means, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying. Jay then asks how many other bodies are buried in this shard, and she replies with 15.
What?
When we all know that only 7 bodies were found.
So what the fuck?
Yeah, so then Jay's like, okay. So Zach is sitting on the edge of a bed in a room where Dorothea kept the bodies before burying them in the garden. He is overcome with a drunken-like feeling and starts to feel very heavy and then collapses off the bed and onto the floor. Zach then asks the Ovulus 3 what Dorothea is doing to him, and in which it responds with, kill.
Oh, I get it. Okay.
Yeah. So he was thinking he was feeling what other people were feeling when Dorothea would drug them.
Yeah.
Until he collapsed onto the floor where that's where they would be, and then she would, ultimately bury them.
Yes, yeah.
He then asks when are you going to kill me? And it responds with night. So when everybody's asleep, that's when she would kill these people.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So Billy, another one of his crew members, begins to communicate with more spirits in the home. Billy uses a device called a paranormal puck, which is very similar to an Ovilus 3. Mm-hmm. Billy keeps asking, who's there? The response Billy receives are the names of people that aren't victims of Dorothea. He's receiving random names, like Rhonda and Paul. And after each name, it says under or below.
What the fuck?
So it's saying Rhonda, Paul, under, below. So Billy and the team are thinking that these are other victims of Dorothea's that haven't been found and are buried somewhere below or under the property. As Billy is asking these questions, an unidentified person or spirit walks very fastly towards him. Oh. Like it sounds like something ran up on him.
Oh, hell no.
Yeah. So by this time, the whole team is downstairs with Billy because they're like, there's some really cool shit, starting. They then ask the spirits, who did that? They're running up on Billy, and it says multiple. They ask, what should they do? The box says, digging, cement, Anthony, within, pine, Mandy, east. The team then asks the spirit of Mandy where she was buried, and it replies with person, foliage. Zach asks if Dorothea is here and if she is able to use the EVP recording device. And when listening back, when Zach asks Dorothea if she's here, they get a very aggressive get out. And then they heard a large growl.
Oh my fucking God. I hate all of it.
So Zach also asks who else is here, and two more names are said, Jenny and Peter. So this makes sense with the evidence they collected earlier stating there were 15 people buried somewhere on the property, and that they've collected more names on top of the 7 found to the property, equaling to 15.
What the fuck? What the fuck?
Yeah. And this concludes the life, death, and afterlife of Dorothea Puentes, the serial killer.
Wait. No, I still have questions.
Yeah.
So nothing else has been investigated from that?
No more digging has been done on the property or any kind of excavating.
But like...
So there could very well be more people buried on the property, because remember they kept getting under, below, digging, cement, within, pine, person, foliage. So maybe they're buried under some concrete. Maybe some people are still buried underneath some grass or some plants, or maybe these people are still buried in the garden. Maybe they didn't dig deep enough, or maybe they missed a spot. Or maybe maybe they're buried somewhere underneath the house, because when they were getting those under or below, they were in the middle of their living room.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, I want to know more. I want to know if they found more. Damn it. Oh,
yeah, so insane. That was the case of Dorothea Puentes. She was a crazy lady who unfortunately killed a lot of elderly, and after killing them, collected on their money, their pension, or their retirement. So it's very unfortunate. Thankfully, she was caught and locked away before she can kill 7 more, 10 more, 15 more, 20 more people. And she possibly could have killed more. We don't know, because those are the only people they have found. But who knows? And thankfully, she's dead. And hopefully that house takes down that sign.
Yeah, seriously, what the fuck?
I can't believe that trespassers will be drugged and buried in the yard.
That's
that's
so
dark.
Insensitive. I can't.
It really is. People died there, my guy. So, yeah. I really hoped you liked that case.
That was really good. That was really good.
It's a really crazy true crime case. I've been wanting to tell you that one for a while. The next one I'm going to be doing a true crime case. I won't tell you who it is.
Okay.
But he does pop up on an Instagram feed I just posted.
Oh. Okay.
But it could be any one of those, Dolores. So good luck in trying to figure out who that one is.
All right. I'll have to look. I'll do some digging.
Okay. Let me tell a joke real quick, just to ease the tension.
God,
Insert elevator music now. And we're back. I have 2 jokes for you.
Okay.
The first one is, how did Grandma describe her cataract surgery?
Oh no, I don't know how.
It was an eye-opening experience for her.
Shut the fuck up. Stupid.
So, what did Grandma do when she was feeling lonely?
Ooh. I don't know what she'd do.
She bought some shares because she wanted company.
Oh, that's sad.
Last one. Why was Grandma arrested for taking a picture?
Why?
Because she was framed.
Shut
like
up.
a picture frame.
Shut
Ayo,
up.
but I'm
Shut up. Fucking stupid.
I was going to say because she was flashing or something.
Oh my god. Well, thank you, campers, for listening. This will be coming out on Wednesday, and I will be in Canada by then, so hopefully I'm doing great.
Oh my god. You will
hopefully
be.
I'm doing
you
good.
will be.
Yeah. If you campers really would love to check up on us and know updates on the podcast, you can follow us on Instagram at
campinsomnia_podcast.
Yes, you can also find many of our other social platforms at
On our Linktree in our bio, and you'll find all the things that we are connected to, even though we use Instagram the most, but that's okay.
Yeah, that's okay. And if you guys have any true paranormal or true crime stories, you are more than welcome to write those into us at campinsomniastories@gmail.com. If you want to be an anonymous writer, you can tell us any name you want. You can call Billy Bo Jingles Bangle Fuck. We'll call you that. Also make sure you give us your pronouns as well in the email, so that we make sure we say your pronouns right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. But thank you guys for listening, and good luck trying to sleep tonight.
Yes, good luck. Hopefully you don't get visited by the old lady bitch that wants to drug you and take all your money. The other sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah. Make sure your grandparents never go anywhere near Sacramento by their house, as she will kill your grandparents.
Oh my god. We need to go.
All right. Bye, you guys.
Bye.
Bye.